Welcome, my fellow duplicants, to the Quality of Life MK1 upgrade preview. So in this upgrade, what we're going to be seeing here is a lot of small tweaks to the game that will make a fairly big difference. So it is a very, very extensive list of small changes that are being made to the game in order to make it run better, in order to make it function better. It is a lot of small tweaks that'll really kind of change the way we do things inside the base here. The main thing being is that there is not a brand new giant mechanic that has been introduced to the game like we've seen in the last upgrades up to this point. Now, I think we did do one quality of life or some sort of cleanup somewhere along the way, but this isn't like new rockets and stuff. They've introduced a lot of new things, and they've also introduced a lot of new complexities to the game, and that has brought their own bugs with them. So this is addressing a lot of those bugs, but at the same time, there's also some new stuff in there, and those are basically decor items. So let's just go ahead and take a look at that right now. So if we look in the research branch, what we can see over here is artistic expression, which we already kind of had. We had the ice block inside of there, but now we have a couple of new canvases. Actually, I'm probably blocking that. We have some new canvases down there. I've put these on display over here. So this one is a pedestal, and on top of the pedestal, you can place all sorts of things that you might find interesting. And yes, I have tried a dead duplicate, and no, you cannot place one on top of the pedestal. For science, I mean, you gotta understand what you can and cannot do, right? Next to this, we have a marble sculpture, which you can make. We can see right here, we have a beautiful mermaid right there, a merdupe, maybe. And then next to that one, there's a metal sculpture. So this can be made out of, well, all sorts of things. I made this one out of gold because it should be made out of gold. Although you can see this one is not actually gold looking. So maybe that'll happen as it comes out, or maybe not. Maybe it just won't ever reflect the color that it should be. Next to that, we also have a small sculpture. So instead of the one that is 3 tiles tall, this one's only 2 tiles tall. And the masterpiece that I'm sure Meep made is, he made a block. He literally just stuck a tile on top of a block of stone and called it a masterpiece. We have a couple of new tiles, such as carpeted tile and the crown molding tile. And those tiles are fairly affordable. So you have your normal tiles right here. These are 200 per block. However, we also have crown molding tiles, which are, again, at this point, still 200 a block. So really, crown molding kind of just allows you to really decorate the base quite a bit more. So you can see up here, I still have metal tiles, and metal tiles give off a little bit more decor. In this case, it's made out of gold because I'm a real baller like that. Next to that, we also have some plastic tiles. That still gives off some decor, but we also have those crown molding tiles, and this one gives off plus 12. So it's in between a metal tile and plastic tiles as far as decor is concerned. And if we take a look at the overlay of decor, you can see just how much is actually being affected right here. So in this area, I have plus 28, and you can see how much is coming from those crown molding tiles. That's plus 12 just in that one spot right there. Depending on where you look around, you can see that there's going to be more tiles. One of the interesting things that you see in the carpeted tile description is that carpeted is a luxury that remains decorative even when other tiles is stacked on top of it. So that's interesting. You might be able to layer some tiles to get more decor out of it. So I tested that a little bit over here, even though I'm not 100% sure what's going on. You can see in this area right there, I've got a, this spot, the decor is plus 5 right there, and it's getting a plus 15 value from these decor tiles right there. So this one is giving plus 12, and I guess you're getting a little bit from these. I don't know. We'll have to see. What I'm going to do, though, is going to compare that to some crown molding, and we'll kind of come back to this in a minute. Also do some gold tiles right here. We also have a couple of new pictures that we can put down. So you've got a 3x2, or I guess this would be a 3x2, which is this one, then a 2x3, which is that one right there. And these are different paintings that you can put up as compared to the 4x4. They do give a tad bit more decor. So this one has a 26.4 with a 6 tile radius. And since it's a little bit bigger, you might get a bigger radius. This one's 25.2. The masterpiece up here, which I think is Stinky Yelling, is 24 decor. So they all have the same radius, but they're a little bit different size and shape. So that allows you to kind of fit them into different spots and really decorate your base a little bit more, rather than just having big statues and the same 4x4 pictures everywhere. So a nice small bit of variety there. Okay, one of the other things you'll notice if you start up a new map is that there's some new plants around the biome that you can actually use for decorative use. So we got the Buddy Bud up here. We also got the Mirth Leaf. And I think there's one more. Yeah, so the last one down here is from kind of these warmer biomes, and that is the Jumping Joya. Now, as far as things that you can put on the pedestal, it's actually kind of designed to have something that you bring back from space. So, for example, let's see if I can spawn something. No, doesn't look like I can. So, I guess you're going to have to find those yourself. Look at that. Plus 167. Ooh, 182. Might even get better once we add a picture or something to this pedestal. So one thing that made a return from the last upgrade, I think it was actually already meant to be included with the rocketry upgrade, was the sightseeing module. So this thing right here actually allows you to send duplicates up into space. And apparently that's supposed to decrease stress. Maybe lighting yourself on fire and running into a giant vacuum is how people relieve their stress in this world, but there. So that's what the sightseeing module looks like. Now, as far as automation, there's actually a new sensor for the critters, and that is the critter sensor right here. So if we place this down, we shall see however many critters we have in this room. So this counts the number of eggs and critters all together. Now, I'm not much into ranching, but I'm sure for those that are into ranching, this will be a very useful thing. Eventually, I'll get there, but right now, I kind of focus on other things. I would say the other major changes here, since I'm not going to go through the entire list, I'm just going to go to the ones that really stand out to me, is with the recipe system. So you can see this here is completely different. You can now, well, I guess it isn't completely different. You still have the same options. So you can hit to the left, and you can make this be or you can hit it to the right or left to make it go up or down, right? This one right there is going to be continuous, and then it can go up to 5. However, you can queue more than one thing, and you can see that the current order is for a fried mushroom, then the next one is going to be for barbecue, and all of these are queued up to be continuous operations. I found this currently in the preview of the game to be a little bit buggy, so you might want to wait off running your main game in the new upgrade right here, because I find that I have to watch these grills really closely, or because sometimes they don't get the recipe up and running, like if you reload the game or you go from one cycle to the next. But the point is, you should be able to cook a wider variety continuously on the grills without less fussing around, right? Like we had previously. So that's really nice. You won't need as many grills now in order to make your full whatever list of stuff that you wanted to make. So that same thing applies to the metal refinery. The whole reason I had all of these different metal refineries up there was so that I could, well, I guess I could automatically process all of them. So I still might want to have all of them there, but you could do the same thing here, right? Where you could say, I want to have a certain number, well, I want to have 5, or in this one to be continuous, so it can kind of queue between the things, and you don't need to spread out and have more refineries if you want to build a different recipe of the stuff you need to make. It's still interesting to me that this still goes up to a maximum of 5 or infinite. I would think that they would want to expand that to, let's say, 10, 50, 100, but for right now, that's what it is. So that's a nice little tweak. So one of the best things that I've seen here in the new game here is actually shows up in like deconstruct and a lot of other build menus as well. It gives you a small readout of the area that you're covering right there. So this is, we can see 11 by 4 on the screen there. That is really useful. I got so tired of having to count out every single tile to make sure I was getting everything to the right size. This makes it so much easier. So if I were to use this tile right there, unfortunately it's not giving me a readout. I've seen it in some places and not others, but I would expect to see it just about everywhere. If we do power wires, here we go. You can see how many wires wide I'm going right there. So that is, you can see the little 16 right there. That's really useful. I like that. So there's a good number of updates to the shovels right there, so that they hopefully stay more in the location where they should be, and hopefully don't get destroyed by meteors, because I've had pretty much a total extinction of shovels in my base. Here's another one. Frost buns once again to use grains, not plants, as ingredients. So that makes a difference right there. And one of the things that I decided to do in my base here is I'm trying to grow wild sleetweed a little bit. So the couple different ways you can do this. If you use the pedestal, you can put whatever you want on it and then remove it and it'll drop it straight down. But then again, you can also do that with a storage compactor. It just takes a little bit more resources to put storage compactors down. Although it's a whole lot easier to set up because you can use copy settings and paste that around. Speaking of copy settings, it now works for door access controls, logic centers, smart batteries, oil wells, valves, lures, coal generators, and conveyor receptacles. Yes! So, a lot of different little tweaks here just to kind of copy the same sort of things, to build up the same sort of plans and make it all work a whole lot better. Again, quality of life things, like buying a really wide monitor so you can finally see your entire base. Now, in case you're wondering, or you're looking for a new monitor for Christmas, the Viotech GN34CW here is absolutely awesome. I'm loving this thing. It's beautiful. In the description below, I have a link to this monitor if you wish to help support the channel. Thanks for your time. Now, you may have heard throughout this video some different background music than you've ever heard before, because that's because they put in some more songs to add more ambiance to the game. It's great. I like it. You can see down here the controls in the bottom right of your screen have changed a little bit. I've kind of repositioned some things. You can just use the shortcut keys though. I don't know if they changed the display of those or if I just finally started noticing them, but once you kind of learn that, it's a little bit nicer. As far as the performance of all of this stuff goes, there should be some new performance enhancements for those of you that have kind of limited CPU capabilities. Tried to tweak some things again to make it run a little bit better. So the flow of gases and liquids and pipes is now multi-threaded to improve CPU and things of that sort. Improved memory usage of a variety of situations. Stuff I don't know, but we should see that the game runs hopefully a little bit smoother yet. They've continued to improve on this game as people keep building bigger and bigger and crazier bases. You can see that the frame rate that I'm running right now is not too great, and that's in part to the current preview build of the game because they're actually running some debug software in the background in order to kind of figure out what's going on in case you have crashes and to log that stuff. It should be quite a bit smoother when the game comes out, or the update comes out in about a week and a half. Now, while a lot of this really excites me, the thing that excites me most is that they are working towards modding support, which is a clear indication of what they want to do here with the game in the future at some point once the game gets stable enough. They're not quite there completely. You can read their whole description, but the thing is, modding, it sounds like, is going to be, you know, a core component of this game in the future somewhere. So they're reworking some things. So those of you guys that have been trying to tweak the game so far, hopefully it should get a little bit easier for you, and hopefully this works its way into the Steam Workshop, which for me as a content creator who wants to make and share all sorts of creative things and whatnot, it's awesome. Every good game that adds modding support becomes an even better game as far as I understand. So awesome. Super awesome. So one last thing that I think is fairly significant is that the things like toilets and sinks and whatnot now contain a little bit of water. So you don't necessarily need to loop all these waters around and around and around. They'll actually contain some stuff so that you can still use them for a little bit, even if the pipe is backed up. So you can kind of string them together rather than kind of make sure that it is always clear. So that's a little bit, you know, nicer than it used to be, just because it works a little bit better. Let's go back to our decor experiment just to finish this video off. Ooh, all right, so over here you can see that the top of this tile again is receiving plus 15. We have a couple of crown molding tiles right there. That is also at plus 15 from the tiles below. And this tile right there is also plus 15. Why is everything plus 15? Well, interesting. Maybe there isn't really a whole lot to the carpeted tile. I don't know. I guess we'll have to mess around with it a little bit more here as the game updates and develops and all that fun stuff. One last thing I'd mention here is that the temperature that comes out of the metal refinery, that has been adjusted a little bit to more closely reflect what it should be, I guess. At any rate, that's really all there is to this upgrade. that and a bunch of other words, which you can read through. I'll have the link to this form in the description below, so you can go ahead and check that out. Hopefully you guys are looking forward to a game that's a little bit easier to play, a little bit easier to live with, I should say, and a lot more stable. That's what I'm looking forward to. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you guys have enjoyed this little episode here of Oxygen Not Included. If I've earned your subscription, then thank you so much for that. Stay awesome, guys. Peace. Brothgar out.